Obama recently announced a campaign to attempt to destroy the Islamic State in Iraq and Syria.
We will degrade and ultimately destroy ISIL.
The American strategy is to use air power and local allies in Iraq and Syria to try to eliminate the group and push it out of its strongholds. This plan might be able to contain ISIS, but it will not be able to destroy it. Why not? There's two big reasons. ISIS is powerful. It's defeated al-Qaeda in Syria, it has defeated Bashar al-Assad, and has defeated moderate Syrian rebel groups on the battlefield right now. A force that the CIA estimates between 20,000 and 31,500. That is fueling ISIS's power because Iraqi Sunnis flock to ISIS, have cities to hide in, and a large supply of recruits in order to replenish itself. Since 9/11, the United States has not destroyed a single major jihadi group. And the reasons that they exist have to do with politics, rather than a lack of military force to counterbalance them alone. It's hard to imagine that the United States will have its first success with ISIS, one of the strongest jihadi groups we've ever seen.
Wide-scale ground offensive against terrorists.
First round of Jordanian airstrikes against ISIS. Will ISIS stand and fight? What ISIS targets will they find? Will ISIS have tried to run away and hide? ISIS on the ground. Where is ISIS?
Out of the fight against ISIS and the expanded air assault targeting the group in recent days. The Jordanian Air Force claims its latest bombing missions have inflicted heavy casualties and destroyed some ISIS bases. And tonight it warns there is more to come. NBC's Keir Simmons has our report tonight from Jordan.
There are fears here in Jordan's capital of terrorist reprisal.
What about ISIS? What about ISIS?
We have seen ISIS continue to advance.
Russia is launching its cruise missiles as part of a coordinated attack in the air and on the ground with the Syrian regime.
What about ISIS?
We begin with this morning's top story: American forces back in action in Iraq.
What about ISIS?
Islamic extremists who say they've established their own state swept across northern Iraq 2 months ago, seizing Mosul, the country's second biggest city. This week, ISIS went on another violent rampage, capturing 15 towns and Iraq's biggest dam. Fighting against the militants on the ground are soldiers from Kurdistan, an autonomous region in northeastern Iraq. Many of them were trained by the U.S. military.
Strikes were carried out by the U.S. Air Force. According to the Pentagon, the refineries produced between 300 and 500 barrels of petroleum a day, which ISIS used to power its own vehicles, and also sold on the black market, bringing in up to $2 million a day in revenues.
The government is so upset about this that it's accused the US-led coalition of basically helping Islamic State in Syria.
And they're calling this emergency meeting? Really?
Of the coalition to create plausible deniability, to make it look like it was easy to bungle an effort, that there was communication problems between at least four countries involved. But we know that their position, and this is the third time that the coalition has struck the Syrian Arab Army. Highlight the fact that some of the groups are obviously supported by the US and the coalition.
Turkish officials say there are more than 20 of its tanks inside Syria at the moment, and that more would be sent as required.
Thanks for helping with ISIL. Now leave, because our other ally Turkey is after you, and we're not going to stop them.
Russian military has announced that Syria has been completely liberated from Islamic State terrorists.
Called Islamic State of Syria and Iraq is a state no more. For all intents and purposes, says the Russian Defense Ministry, it has been destroyed as a faction. There are still hotspots and isolated pockets, Vladimir Putin added, but with the liberation of the West Bank of the Euphrates River, ISIS is done. 799 days after Russia got involved in September 2015, when ISIS was arguably at its peak. When the Russian operation began, ISIS held more territory in Syria than any other faction. 2 years and a few months on, the caliphate has been reduced to clumps of villages and uninhabited desert. It wasn't the Russian Air Force alone that did this. The US-led coalition also played a huge part. We've been covering the Syrian civil war in depth before ISIS even had its name, before jihadists hijacked the rebels' cause. Here are some of the more memorable moments filmed by my colleagues and I.
Whether it's 3 in the morning, 12 in the afternoon, or dinner time, the pilots are ready to go at a moment's notice.
Ultimately, it wasn't Russian or American jets that played the decisive role in this. This victory belongs to the Syrians, the thousands and thousands who fought and died to defeat ISIS. Those who stood up to jihadists even when it seemed nothing could stop them. Unfortunately, it's unlikely that this will end here. Many ISIS fighters have escaped or gone underground. Their sleeper cells will terrorize the world for years to come. But now, they'll no longer have their caliphate to fight for.
With Russia saying ISIL has been essentially driven out of Syria, there is still the question of what to do with the group's remaining fighters in neighboring countries, including Iraq.